The old antiquated system of paper documents is being dismantled and replaced with artificial intelligence, and millions of MAGA fans are celebrating this without even considering the replacement, which will be digital. Blockchain technology, which appeared mysteriously in the Bitcoin white paper, is well suited for tagging and tracing every living person on the planet and every transaction we make. In the current system, a birth certificate of title is registered for every child born. This is provided a paper record with minimal information. But with biometric data, the new system is capable of assigning a digital ID to every living man, woman, and child born. Locked into the blockchain from day one, every person's carbon footprint can be monitored, their compliance measured, and their overall value to the system can be calculated in real time. Blockchain is an immutable, time-stamped record of every interaction and exchange. And it's not just individuals who will have a digital ID. Every business, every product, and everything we interact with will have a digital ID. This is called tokenization, and it's happening right now. From the perspective of control, it is the most effective method of controlling human behavior that the world has ever known. And while many argue that the blockchain is not capable of doing all this, the problem has already been solved. It's called Hashgraph, and it appears to be ready for deployment. Hashgraph is exponentially more efficient than blockchain. Able to handle hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, it uses practically zero energy. It is the perfect digital branding iron for human chattel in the new AI digital control grid. Hedera, the company behind the Hashgraph system, is already partnered and connected with major corporations and governments. The Institute of International Finance has tapped Hedera as the only layer 1 tech to explore blockchain solutions for tokenized financial assets. And this is how the carbon tax will be calculated.
Has there been a response to this? Like, is this something that...
I talked to the Biden administration, incoming administration, and they were like, well, this seems too politically difficult. And I was like, well, this is obviously a thing that should happen.
And even some sort of an incremental increase over time.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to
warn people.
Yeah, say if you just say it's coming, people will automatically make the changes.
That seems so reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
And they were like,
They thought it was like too politically difficult. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's like at least half the reason you got elected. So why don't you just fight for that? You know, there's just one thing that will matter: put a price on carbon.
That would be the best option
for sure.
That seems like it'd be such a good idea.
Like, what do 90% of economists think? And like, they all agree. Okay, we should do that.
It was too politically difficult for Elon to introduce a carbon tax under President Biden because the MAGA cult would have resisted it. But they have become cheerleaders for the new system and all things Elon. So now the gates are wide open. Democratic Party member Maxine Waters recently introduced bipartisan stablecoin legislation. This aligns with what the Trump administration has been proposing and is expected to be passed into law without any pushback. This will create a digital dollar backed by U.S. Treasury bills and other debt instruments. But the United States has been bankrupt for decades, and a complete financial crash is imminent. Once the dollar dies, the already legally accepted stablecoins will then be pegged to Bitcoin, and the new digital system will be the savior. It will be celebrated for saving us from a depression, securing our borders, and protecting the children. And the carbon tax will begin.
But it's really fundamental. Unless there's a price put on carbon,
we're never going to be able to make the transition that we need to in time, correct?
Yeah. And the only way to do that is basically with a carbon tax.
Greg Reese reporting.
Let me speak on this a little bit. And as if you watch the video, you can see that it's a gradual process through their politicians, how they got this thing to pass. where again, the prophecy is that no man might buy or sell at all. Okay, and that's Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay, going into something here that you are very familiar with, but I'm gonna do it anyway, just for the sake of the video here. Because you'd be surprised that how many still don't believe that what's coming, and what we refer to as the charagma, code word, not necessarily a code word, but a code word for the mark, or more specific, the mark of the beast. Okay, when you go to Revelation, the 13th chapter, you can start somewhere around the 13th or 14th verse, which I'm going to read here. And it says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell." Okay, so if he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And you heard dude say to Rogan, the interviewer dude, controlled opposition, just idiots, just part of the whatever the higher up or elites bring in. He's willing to go along and get along anyway, to not lose his riches. Because he's a rich man, famous as well. All right, but they're willing to accept anything and everything that this devil brings in. Again, which the scriptures refer to as his image. All right, and so again, your boy mentioned how you just say it's coming, and it's coming. All right, so now that this devil has the world's attention, now the world wants to listen. But when the prophets were out there telling you, and we were starting with our apostles of Great Millstone, and their apostles and elders before them as well, been prophesying about this thing that is coming. This, which these technocracies, these technocrats, are bringing in their technology, which is to govern the people. All right. So, what clever way to do it? By doing it through, elected officials, those that the world trusts, and especially if he looks like a goddamn white man, the world definitely is going to accept it, especially simple-minded niggas. But now we're at that point now, again, where this devil he's going to instill his will on the earth, by whatever means, and you see it happen right before our eyes. You're seeing it happen. So going to this, it's Revelation. No, it's the book of Daniel, and it's the 8th chapter of Daniel. Okay, it says this here. Okay, let me start up. Verse 23, verse 8 and 23. "And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up." And this is playing out right in your front of your eyes, man, in front of the whole world. Like it says, a king of fierce one, a fierce man with a dark sentence, sustain him, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper and practice. Because really, he's getting rich behind the scenes while he's tearing up, the middle class and the poor, while he's, while he's literally is, he's destroying their lifeline, for the lack of better words. He's destroying their lifeline, and their entitlements that's needed, you know, that to literally survive, and especially when you were referring to these veterans, and I can't, and I'm trying to think of the precept, and I think it's a man of war that suffers poverty. Here, let me see if I can find that real quick. These people they're stupid, man. They were just used, you know. They were just used, and that's their judgment. This is funny how Yahweh Shem Yahushua, this is just a way he's judging these devils, man. That went and fought for these Edomites, you know, that took lives and destroyed families, you know, for to push the agenda of these wicked ass Edomites, man. And that's how I look at it, as this is just their judgment. They're getting judged. Let me see if I can find the scripture. Beautiful times we're living in, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Sirach 26 and 28. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry: a man of war that suffereth poverty, and men of understanding that are not set by, and one that returneth from righteousness to sin. The Lord prepares such and one for the sword. And it's going down. You know, these, you know, I like I said, it's just judgment on these, you know, for being stupid, man. Literally. And the only reason why a lot of them are speaking up and rising up now is only because it's starting to affect them. But before it was affecting their pocket, they just went along and got along, you know, kept their mouths shut, and, you know, ears covered, you know, and continued on with this wicked ass oppressive system. So going back to Daniel 8, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policies, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. It's slick, man. You know, and how they're coming at you. They're coming at you, and how they gradually introduce certain technologies, like for using the cell phone as an example. How the cell phone gradually started with beepers, and then gradually they gave us a phone, you know, not yet with internet capabilities, but again, as time went on, they started adding here a little and there a little. It's just started adding on to the phones to the point now that there's cameras and the internet. You can, you know, I'm talking about these phones that we have now. You know, I got a computer early, you know, when they really started distributing them to the public, in the mass for wholesale value, in wholesale market, the retail market. I got one in the late 80s. I mean, the late 90s. My kids were young too. The late 90s, man. It was well before the 2000s, but the late 90s, and they weren't cheap. Anyway, these cell phones we have now is way more powerful than those. Even the ones that were in the early 2000s, even around the time of 07, 08, 09, 2010, man, these phone phones we have now are way more capable than the computers we had not too long ago. So hitting into that word, the word policy, and you already got to understand how this devil is already described when you go into the Genesis, when he's describing that serpent. All right, so the word here, his policies, you know, I'm just going to get straight to insight, understanding, cunning, his craft, all right, his craft. So he's a slick man. What's the root word of Sakal? I think it's Sakal. The root word is Sakal as well. Close, pretty close. So it's not really giving you much, but there you go, his policies. And let me do this. Yeah, this devil's something else, man. Policy. And I'm trying to do a search here on my tablet. Here is policy. Policy, a course of principle. A course or principle of action adopted or proposed by a government, party, business, or individual. Okay? It's a course. They've found a course, you know, then ultimately it's their actions that they're going to apply. Okay? Scriptures is something else, man. They're amazing. They're amazing. So again, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands. So this right now, as this devil's pride has been lifted up more and more, he's preparing to actually fight Yahweh Shai when he cracks the sky, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. He's at this moment right now preparing to fight the Lord when he comes, man. And as it says, but he shall be broken without hands. This spiritual powers, you can't fight against spiritual power. You can't fight against spiritual power. You know, but he has to make it, you know, that's the spirit the Lord's going to put in this devil. He has to fight. He's going to have to. Okay? So, anyway, hope you're edified. Till next time, Lord willing. Shalom.